All right. How you doing, everybody? My name is Jerome Bates. Um, I chose to do my project on the first malware attack, pretty much entitled "The Moore's Worm." It's pretty devastating. So yeah, let's just go into it here. So pretty much on the 2nd of November, 1988, a single college student gave the internet and the world a wake-up call. Uh, Once thought of as a friendly place for students, teachers, researchers, scientists, anyone to actually on the internet, on the network, to share ideas, was quickly turned around by Mr. Robert Morris in 24 hours with the release of his worm, intentionally meant to be a project, just a test. Kind of got out of hand. Pretty much showed just how much or just how vulnerable the actual internet is with this attack. So, and pretty much showed the repercussions of it also too. So, of course, the creator, Mr. Robert Tappan Morse, was the creator of this malware. Um, a few pictures of him right there. He's a Harvard graduate. Uh, at 23. He took his grad school at Cornell, and that's where he was at the time, of the release of this worm. His quick fact: his father actually was with NASA. Uh, much yeah. He pretty much released the worm just to gauge how large the internet actually really was. Interconnected. So a little slide there. So basically, November the 2nd, 88, uh, roughly around about 8:30 in the evening, he released the worm from an MIT computer that pretty much began copying itself from that particular machine across the internet. Um, like I said, it was pretty much an experiment at first, and it got out of hand. Could not control it. Its intended was only to copy itself onto the computer and move on. Uh, but of course, it replicated multiple times until pretty much the machine couldn't handle it anymore and shut down. Pretty much what you would call a true denial of service, a DOS attack. Yeah. Um, so just going over a few of the methods that actually occurred and everything in it, the methods of attack for the actual DOS attack. So waiting for the Unix system to connect and then sent the email to it, copying it to another computer. So that's one way of transferring through email. I know we all, you know, especially companies, those emails, they always tell you don't be opening those emails because they have stuff attached to them, and definitely will mess your computer up. So that's why they have people won't have people monitoring those, and honestly a lot of them get sent to your trash bin anyway. Just in general, for you as an individual, a lot of them get sent to your trash bin, which is cool. So you just won't be opening random emails and things. So it also replaced the code that was on the system with the malicious code, or a different code, pretty much a foreign code that computer could not read, and pretty much wasn't the intended use for the computer. It was replaced, and that's called the fingered method. And then of course the password method. So use the dictionary to attack to guess weak passwords. This is why pretty much all the time that even Google, like come up passwords a week, or even just any site that has a password or anything, they try to get you to make a strong password that you can't guess easily, because people will figure out your passwords, get into all your stuff, and then create another password and lock you out of it. Been a victim of a couple things that went that way. Not nice at all, especially the social media. Um, anyway, the damage that it caused. So pretty much, it wasn't a malicious software that he wrote. He wasn't intending to do any damage, but it ended up doing that. Well, it ended up causing a good scare because, this program or this experiment pretty much duplicated itself all over, and pretty much showed the vulnerability of online. Very vast, very online, of course, is very, very great. All the resources and everything, it's just somewhere where people can share and everything. That's what the internet was intended. But we got a taste of what could happen when we're unprotected, right? Basically, the cost range was from $100,000 to $10 million worth of damage, especially affecting all those computers directly. And 60,000 was online at the time. Basically, just replicated much faster than it was intended to. Like I said, opened his eyes to many more, especially protection to the internet. New areas were created and laws were passed to do so. Yeah, ended up. Well, the laws had been actual. Some laws had been put in place, but of course, because of this, more laws and more security came about. The computer emergency response team was actually one that came about because of this worm, and they was created to protect against response and cyber threats, which we definitely need it nowadays. There's so much fraud going on, so much. And Morse actually was the first person convicted under the 1986 U.S. Federal Law Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Yeah. In conclusion, pretty much, yeah, we face a lot of vulnerabilities in our internet securities these days, but possibly would have not had the sense of this, and a lot more probably could have happened later on if it wasn't for this. So, in a sense, this is a good thing, but of course, it wasn't good for him. He ended up being convicted and everything. Even this is a quote from his father, the NASA worker. Said he pretty much was quoted. It has raised the public awareness to a considerable degree. So it was likely to make people more careful and more attentive to vulnerabilities in the future, pretty much. Yeah, and it definitely did. Definitely did. We all know that internet's a great thing. You can find everything that you need. Look up anything. Anytime I don't know anything, I'm go straight to Google or Bing or whatever and look it up. That's how we get. That's like the main source of our information nowadays. And with everybody having cell phones that are internet capable, this definitely our main source of information. Like if we didn't have this, and then like I said, cell phones make it even more accessible. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, it's the presentation right there.